Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Air Raid Saturdays College Football YouTube channel. I am your host, Justin Perez, and welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be discussing the preseason top 25 polls that got put up by the Associated Press last week, I believe. And I'm going to be reacting to them. I'm going to be showcasing the top 25 rankings from the Associated Press. And then I'm going to give my thoughts about it. And then I'm also going to showcase my own personal top 25 rankings. But before I begin, I just want to say, when it comes to my opinion, I know there might be some strong opinions in the comment section down below regarding individual teams and where I place them. Because like I said, I'm going to go through the official top 25 rankings, and then I'm going to show you my own personal list, which I have created. I just want to give a quick disclaimer out that maybe there's gonna be some of you that probably won't agree with my list, but I request, if you please do not get extremely angry and go full keyboard warrior mode in the comment section down below. If you disagree with my opinion, then it's okay, and I would like to know why you disagree with my opinion, but do it in an educated and informative manner. Don't just be going in my comment section just spamming a whole bunch of crap and saying a whole bunch of crap, because to me that's just really, really bad. But and that's the cleanest that I could put it on the mic right now. But anyway, let's go through this. So I made a slide, which you'll see right now if I haven't put it up already. I made a slide just copying the AP Press, or the AP preseason top 25 rankings. So as you can see, on the left side of the screen are the Associated Press's top 25 rankings, and on the right side of the screen are the teams receiving votes. Now, I got this from ESPN.com. I'll put the link in the description for ESPN's rankings page, and there you could see all this information there as well. But I thought this would be better than rather just taking a screenshot, because it's more organized that way, in my opinion at least. But anyway, the AP's top 25 preseason rankings go like this. So Georgia comes in at number 1, which is not surprising. They have 60 first place votes as of right now, and last season they went a perfect 15-0 and won the national championship. They also have a total of 1,572 points in the rankings, which again, not that surprising if you follow college football at all the way that I do. You saw that was coming. And then I also saw that I also knew that Michigan was going to be ranked second throughout the entire offseason. I just knew that they were going to be ranked second ahead of Ohio State and Alabama. And what do you know? They are ranked second. Michigan has 2 first place votes. Last season, they ended up finishing the season at 13-1, and they lost the Fiesta Bowl semifinal to TCU. They have a total of 1,490 voting points. Ranking third is Ohio State, who has 1 first place vote. Last year they finished 11-2 and they lost to Georgia in that infamous Peach Bowl semifinal, where that last second kick just was absolutely terrible. That kick is going to haunt Ohio State fans forever. But they still ranked third to start the season, and they have a total of 1,400 points. Ranking fourth is Alabama. This is where the first place votes finish. Starting at number 4 with Alabama, who last year finished 11-2 and won the Sugar Bowl over Kansas State. And they have a total of 1,398 points. Fifth is LSU, who went 10-4 last year, and they blew out Purdue in the Citrus Bowl, and they finished with 1,276 points. Sixth is USC, who finished 11-3 last year and lost the Cotton Bowl to Tulane. And they have 1,245 points. 7 is Penn State, who finished 11-2 last year and won the Rose Bowl against Utah. They have 1,177 points. Eighth on this list is Florida State, who went 10-3 last season and won a surprisingly close Cheez-It Bowl against Oklahoma, and they have 1,147 points. Ninth is Clemson, who went 11-3 last year and lost the Orange Bowl to Tennessee. They have 1,032 points. 10th is Washington, who finished last year at 11-2 and won the Alamo Bowl versus Texas. They have 977 points. 11th is Texas, who finished 8-5 last year and lost to Washington in the Alamo Bowl. They had 882 points. 12th is Tennessee, who finished 11-2 last year and won the Orange Bowl against Clemson. They have 868 points. 13th is the University of Overrated, aka Notre Dame. Last year they finished 9-4 and won the Gator Bowl against the South Carolina Gamecocks. They have 863 points. 14th is Utah, who finished 10-4 last season and lost the Rose Bowl to Penn State. They have 811 points. 15th is Oregon, who finished 10-3 last season and won the Holiday Bowl against North Carolina. They have 732 voting points. 16th is Kansas State, who finished 10-4 last season and lost to Alabama in the Sugar Bowl in a blowout. They have 501 voting points. 17th is TCU, who finished 13-2 last season and lost the national championship to Georgia. They have 416 points. 18th is Oregon State, who finished last year 10-3 and won the Las Vegas Bowl against Florida, I believe, and they have 406 points. 19th is Wisconsin, who finished 7-6 last year and won the Guaranteed Rate Bowl against Oklahoma State. They have 386 points. 20th is Oklahoma, who last year finished 6-7, and they lost the Cheez-It Bowl to Florida State. Oklahoma has 296 points. 21st is North Carolina, who finished 9-5 last season. They lost the Holiday Bowl to Oregon. They have 292 points. 22nd is Ole Miss, who finished 8-5 last year and lost the Texas Bowl. I believe they lost to Texas Tech last year, and they have 281 points. Ranking 23rd is Texas A&M, who finished 5-7 last year and only have 227 points voting. They're the only team ranked in this preseason top 25 to have not made a bowl game last year. 24th is Tulane, who finished 12-2 and won the Cotton Bowl against USC. They have 224 points. And Tulane, this is the first time that Tulane is ranked in the preseason top 25 ranking in their entire history. So congratulations to the Tulane Green Wave. I'm going to be rooting for them heavily this season to finish again in the top 25. And then ranking 25th is the Iowa Hawkeyes, who last year finished 8-5 somehow and shut out Kentucky 21-0 in the Music City Bowl, and they have 131 points. So that's the top 25. I have several problems already with this top 25 list. Not many, but just a few, and I'll get into that when I showcase my top 25 rankings, my own personal top 25 rankings. But I strongly believe that teams that finished with a losing record last season should not be ranked in the preseason top 25. So I'm looking at Oklahoma and Texas A&M this year. Now, for me, it would be understandable if they get votes, but I think since they finished last season with the losing record, they don't deserve to be ranked in the preseason top 25. I know they brought in a lot of talent. I know they have some interesting head coaches. I know that they're big name programs that will bring in a bunch of talent every single year, and which will probably help them have a bounce back season this year. But at least to start off the season, they should not be ranked in the preseason top 25 in my opinion. But I'll showcase my top 25, my own personal top 25 in a little while. So that's the Associated Press's top 25. And then looking at the right side of the screen, these are the teams that are receiving votes. I'll go down the list here. We have Texas Tech, who just finished outside the top 25, having 101 votes. South Carolina is receiving 73. UCLA is receiving 66. UTSA is receiving 64. Arkansas is receiving 22. Boise State is receiving 17. Pittsburgh is receiving 16. Kentucky is receiving 14. Troy is receiving 10. Kansas is receiving 10, which makes me really happy. Louisville is receiving 10. Auburn is receiving 7. Minnesota is receiving 6. Toledo is receiving 4 votes. Mississippi State is receiving 4 votes. Duke is receiving 4. Florida is receiving 4. Illinois is receiving 3. Coastal Carolina is receiving 3. Baylor is receiving 3, and Liberty, James Madison, North Carolina State, and South Alabama each receive 1 vote each. So those are the teams that are receiving votes who finished outside the preseason top 25 poll. So we went through that, and now I'm going to showcase to you guys my own personal top 25 rankings. Alright, now let's transition over to my personal top 25 rankings. So I'm not going to really go too much into detail about specific teams and why I ranked them where. But I'm just going to go through basically what I did for my own personal top 25. And remember, guys, this is supposed to be fun. This is supposed to just cause, a nice discussion in the comments down below and get everybody involved that watches this video. There's no need to overreact to any of my personal opinions. Again, these are just opinions. They're, I'm not a professional. I'm not an actual voter. I'm just doing this to have fun. So anyway, now I haven't created the slide just yet, but I will create the slide after I make this recording, so you'll actually see it. But right now I'm reading this off an index card that I made here. But pretty much in comparison to the AP's top 25 rankings, the top 6 on their list stays the same for me. I agree with Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, and Alabama being ranked where they are. I think LSU just on the outside looking in. To me, I think they're the 3rd best team in the SEC this year, so it's okay for them to be at 5. And then USC is just fine at number 6 as well. I think even though they had a bad collapse last year, losing the Pac-12 title game and then losing the Cotton Bowl, I believe that, I think they deserve to be right where they are, and they're going to be, one of the teams that are vying for a college football playoff spot this year. They were vying for a playoff spot last year. They got close, couldn't get it done, and I'm sure they're going to be able to get that done this year, most likely. If they get the breaks and if they just win their game. So I'll keep the top 6 the same, and then I do a little bit of shuffling here. Now, Penn State is ranked 7th on the AP's preseason poll, but on my preseason poll, I just flip-flopped the positions of Penn State and Florida State. So on my poll, Florida State 7th and Penn State is 8th, and it's the other way around on the AP poll. I just think of Florida State more highly than Penn State. I just think that, if there's a team that is going to be the 3rd one out of the playoff picture as of right now, I would give that to Florida State more than Penn State. I think Florida State has more of a chance to make the college football playoff this year than Penn State does. Even though Penn State's a good football team, I just don't see them beating, at least all of them. I don't see them beating the top teams in the Big Ten, or at least all of them, namely Ohio State and Michigan, if they play them. Because I did their predictions, obviously, in the Big Ten video, in my Big Ten predictions, but I forgot who they play in their schedule. It's been a while since I double-checked who they play. So, yeah, I don't think that much highly of Penn State to be ranked 7th, so I put them down at 8. I kept Clemson at number 9, which I think is fine, but then I did some reshuffling here with the next few spots. So, instead of Washington being placed at 10, I put Tennessee at 10th. So, I basically put Tennessee at 10, Washington at 11, and then Texas at 12. And in the AP poll, they have Washington at 10, Texas at 11, and Tennessee at 12. So that's what they have. And then I have Tennessee at 10, Washington 11, and Texas at 12. I know Texas has a lot of hype coming into this year, and rightly so. And to be honest, I'm okay with them being on the top 25 and being ranked pretty high. But I don't, and I think it's okay for them to put them just on the outside of the top 10. But if you're asking me, Tennessee and Washington had way better seasons last year than Texas obviously did. I know Texas took Alabama to the limit, and they might do that again this year. But I think Tennessee and Washington are better football teams as of right now than Texas is. And Tennessee, I'm more high on them. I favor them being in the top 10 more than Washington. just for the simple reason that, Tennessee, they're in the bigger conference. They played better competition, and obviously the Pac-12 is a solid conference, but let's be real here. The SEC is the best conference in all of college football, and it's been that way for a while now. And Tennessee, what they were able to do last season should not go unnoticed or underestimated at all. And I think this is a top 10 ball club that should be in the top 10 for the Associated Press. I'm okay with Tennessee at 10, Washington at 11, and Texas at 12. Then at 13, I put Utah. I think Utah and Oregon I put ahead of Notre Dame. So in the AP's poll, they have Notre Dame at 13, and they have them ahead of both Utah and Oregon. And in my poll, I just put Utah and Oregon ahead of Notre Dame. So Utah goes to 13, Oregon goes to 14 on my poll, and then Notre Dame drops to 15. I like, again, Utah and Oregon. I think of them more. I think of them as better teams than Notre Dame. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I can't explain it, but I like Utah and Oregon a little bit higher, and I wish they were a little bit higher on the list. I don't think Notre Dame deserves to be anywhere, near the top 10. I mean, of course they're going to be near the top 10, and I guess that's understandable because it's Notre Dame, but Oregon and Utah had way better seasons last year than Notre Dame. I mean, they had, obviously Notre Dame, they had a 9-win season, and Utah made it to the Rose Bowl in the 10-win season. And Oregon won the Holiday Bowl against a pretty damn good North Carolina team as well, and they had a 10-win season. And if you look at Utah and Oregon, I think they play stronger schedules than Notre Dame last season. I think Notre Dame will have a stronger schedule than those two teams this season, because I think Notre Dame, they got to play Clemson and Ohio State, and I think USC. But overall, I just like Utah and Oregon a little bit higher. So I put Utah 13th and Oregon 14th. I really don't have any specific logical argument. I just prefer them being higher than Notre Dame on this list. So that's what I have. Then Kansas State and TCU and Oregon State remain where they are. So 16th is Kansas State, TCU is 17th, and 18th is Oregon State. I agree with that. And then 19, this is, the end of the list here is where we do some major reshuffling. 19 on the AP's list is Wisconsin. However, on my personal list, I have Tulane. I know that Wisconsin brought in Luke Fickell this year, and I know they're expected to have a better campaign than what they did last season. But I am really high on Tulane once again this season to be the Group of 5 champion. I think that, again, I just base off my preseason rankings based on what these teams did last year primarily. Of course, I take into account what they did this season as far as the transfer portal is concerned, and the new players they brought in and the coaches that they brought in if they made any coaching changes. But I think the primary factor for me when making at least my own preseason top 25 is I take into account what they did last season. And let's be honest, Tulane had a way better and more impactful season last year than Wisconsin. It's just facts. I mean, Tulane, the fact that they were able to beat UCF in the American Athletic Conference title game, and UCF was the class of that conference until they moved to the Big 12 this year. The fact that they got past UCF and the fact that they made that comeback against USC, for me, warrants at least that they should at least be in the top 20. I don't think they should be outside the top 20. And also, when you look at Tulane's team this year, they're bringing back a lot of their players, especially on offense. I love Michael Pratt as a quarterback. And personally, if you ask me, if everything goes right, Michael Pratt can be a potential Heisman Trophy candidate. I'm just throwing it out there. I will not be surprised if Michael Pratt is a Heisman Trophy candidate at the end of the season if everything goes right. I just think Tulane deserves to be in the top 20, so I have them in at number 19. Then number 20, I have North Carolina. In the AP's preseason 20th ranking spot goes to Oklahoma, and I'm gonna get into Oklahoma and Texas A&M in a little while, but I have North Carolina at 20, Ole Miss at 21, Wisconsin at 22. Then I have Texas Tech at 23, Iowa at 24, and South Carolina at 25. Texas Tech and South Carolina obviously did not make the official preseason ranking, but if you ask me, Texas Tech and South Carolina are way more deserving of a top 25 ranking than Texas A&M and Oklahoma. Now, this is probably a controversial take, and I know there's a lot of people that might agree with me, but I know a lot of people will disagree with me after hearing what I have to say, but hear me out. I do not agree with teams being in the top 25 that had a losing season the previous year. Oklahoma was just an absolute train wreck last season. For Oklahoma standards, they should have not finished 6 and 7 last season. I don't agree I don't agree with their ranking on this list. I don't think they should even be in the top 25 along with Texas A&M. Texas A&M was just as bad as Oklahoma last year. Texas A&M didn't even make a bowl game. They missed out. They ended the year at 5 and 7. At least Oklahoma made a bowl game at 6 and 6 and they lost it to Florida State. But Texas A&M didn't even make a bowl game last year. They had a horrendous year last season. And I don't know how anybody can say with a straight face that Texas A&M deserves a spot in the preseason top 25 rankings. I just don't see it. I understand that they have Jimbo Fisher as a head coach. I understand that it's Texas A&M. I understand they play in the SEC, and I understand that they're poised for a bounce-back season this year. However, I do not agree with teams that finished with the losing record the previous year being ranked in the top 25. That's just how it is with me. I don't agree with that at all. And I'm sure there's other people that feel the same way that I feel. And if you're asking me, I believe Texas Tech and South Carolina are way more deserving of the top 25 ranking than Oklahoma and Texas A&M. Both finished with winning seasons last year. Both had pretty productive seasons when really many weren't expecting much from them. I know personally I wasn't expecting much out of Texas Tech, and they at least won 8 games last season. And same thing with South Carolina. I knew they were going to be improved, but I didn't expect them to win, I think, 8 or 9 games. I forgot how many games they won last season. But I wasn't expecting them to have the same... I wasn't expecting them to have the year that they had this season. I thought they would finish around 6 or 7 wins, not 8 or 9. I forgot how many games they won. But yeah, I wasn't expecting them to finish the year the way they finished it. So I think they're way more deserving of a top 25 ranking than Oklahoma and Texas A&M. And the reason, and also when you think of Oklahoma and Texas A&M, especially Oklahoma, you think of consistent, sustained excellence. And because they didn't do that last year, I don't think much of them, at least to be ranked in a preseason poll. They're supposed to be winning football games. They're supposed to be considered some of the top programs in college football, especially Oklahoma. And when they fall way short of expectations that they've created, I'm sorry, they don't get taken seriously from me to be in the position that they're in now, where they're in the top 25. So overall, I just don't agree with Oklahoma and Texas A&M's ranking. I'm sure people are gonna have an issue with that, but that's okay, whatever. We all view the game a different way. We all view the sport in our own ways. We all have different opinions, and that's okay. But that's my personal preseason top 25. So just to go through my poll again, because I was talking a lot. 1 is Georgia, 2 is Michigan, 3 Ohio State, 4 Alabama, 5 LSU, 6 USC, 7 Florida State, 8 Penn State, 9 Clemson, 10 Tennessee, 11 Washington, 12 Texas, 13 Utah, 14 Oregon, 15 Notre Dame, 16 Kansas State, 17 TCU, 18 Oregon State, 19 Tulane, 20 North Carolina, 21st is Ole Miss, 22nd is Wisconsin, 23rd is Texas Tech, 24th is Iowa, and 25 is South Carolina. So those are my personal top 25 rankings for the preseason, and this is how they compare to the official Associated Press top 25 preseason rankings. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think of both my top 25 preseason rankings and the AP's top 25 preseason rankings down below. Let me know what you guys think about both of these polls. Do you think I'm an idiot? Do you think I should just be relegated to not talking about the sport? Do you think the Associated Press is 100% correct? Do you think they're wrong? Do you think that I went wrong in some areas? Do you think they went wrong in some areas? Please let me know down in the comments below. And remember to like, share, comment, subscribe. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Once again, this is Justin Perez, the host for Air Raid Saturdays on College Football YouTube channel. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you guys soon. Once again, take care, everybody.